I just finished the appointment with the psychiatrist a little while ago, and I have ADHD. I'm not quite sure what I feel at this stage. My name is Sara Melinda, and this is my ADHD diagnosis journey. If you don't know what ADHD is, it is attention deficit hyperactivity disorder. Yes, that's what it is. So I recorded all of this in real time. I'm a big fan of video journals. And so this is like my whole diagnosis. If you've happened upon this, my channel is called Some Betterment. It's all about helping people develop a growth and improvement mindset instead of trying to be perfect. My channel's not about ADHD, but I have ADHD. And so I wanted to share this so that people who are on the same journey or who are wondering if maybe they have ADHD just won't feel quite so alone, and that they'll kind of have an idea of what it was like for somebody else. I started to create this channel because I wanted to have a better life. I was completely overwhelmed by my expectations of myself. What I thought was my biggest problem was perfectionism. And so where we're starting from is I kind of just started to play with recording and doing research about perfectionism and the causes and what the characteristics are of that. And that's pretty much where we're starting from here. I don't know. I just sort of think that, like, yes, for sure I have perfectionist tendencies, and that's something that is not helpful in my life. But I don't know. I also started doing like a little bit more looking around about ADHD. And I reckon, yeah, I've definitely got some ADHD tendencies or ADD tendencies, because really, life shouldn't be quite as hard as it is for me in terms of, keeping thoughts in my head and not getting overwhelmed and just getting obsessed about stuff. So yeah, so anyway, I think I need to talk to my doctor about that. Okay, interesting 24 hours. Yesterday morning, I had a chat with my friend Jen. Anyway, I was chatting to her and I asked her about ADHD. And she said, "My friend, I don't want you to take this the wrong way, but you are definitely part of the club." So that was actually really like a relief, actually, to have somebody who knows what it looks like say that, like, this could be a possibility for me and this could be the reason that I'm struggling. She put me onto this channel, which I love, How to ADHD. It's actually really affirming, I guess. Really all I want is to create a more sustainable life and just a better life. So I'm feeling really hopeful, and I'm feeling quite nervous because I made a doctor's appointment with the doctor that I've been seeing lately. I'm hopeful that he's going to be responsive to my desire to be tested, and I'm scared that he's not. So, big day. Running very, very low on spoons. So I'm attempting to replenish them with twisties and wine. Probably not the best idea. I went to the doctor, and he did think that getting tested for ADHD would not be a bad idea, considering I've never been able to really hold down a job for longer than 2 years, or stay in a job. My mom sent all my reports. It'll be difficult for me to prove that this has been an issue for me my whole life, because my grades and my comments don't really support that very well. Like, I remember my teachers always calling me a daydreamer, and it's not in my reports consistently or even at all, really, that I can see. I got a call from a psychiatrist. So I managed to get an appointment. I got the assessment and I did the assessment, and I met all 6 criteria. So there's a strong likelihood that I do have ADHD. And so it explains a lot. And I mean, I'm not officially diagnosed, but it's like a bit overwhelming to
just feel like my life could be different, that it wouldn't feel so hard all the time, and I could like maybe function better.
So my appointment is next Monday, and I don't know, I have lots of different feelings about it. So, some days I go, "Oh, I'm sure it's just like, I'm sure it's fine. I'm sure I don't have it." And then other days I'm like, oh, like I must have it. Like, I just have to. Like, I'm not sleeping at the moment. I cannot, my brain's just like a runaway train. I just cannot stop it. So look, like, my hope is that I do have it, and that there's something, like there's some sort of treatment or medication out there that can help me live a more sustainable life, so that I'm not constantly burning out, and I'm not, I can spend quality time with my family and stick with something for, consistently for a period of time. Just been really feeling the last couple of days like super just stressed about it, and like just having a lot of doubts. The thing about me is that I tell everyone everything all the time. So I kind of wish that I didn't this time, because I don't know, people have had interesting responses. Most people don't really say anything, but some people are like, "Oh, I'm sure that's not you. Like, I know people have ADHD and you're not like them." I don't know. I've just been going through this period of thinking, look, I'm just a lazy and unmotivated and undisciplined perfectionist. I probably don't have it. And then what happens if I don't have it? And what does that mean? And what does it mean if I do? And just like, what's the appointment going to be like? What's the process? So all these things that I just don't know about, or I'm not sure about. So I talked to one of my friends today, and that's something that has been really crucial, is having other people around who've been on this journey before. And I'd really encourage anyone else who's on this journey to definitely talk to other people and just get that kind of support, because like my friend told me all these feelings are really normal. She knows me well, she's worked with me, and she has ADHD. So, I just needed her to say, like, I'm not crazy, this is worth pursuing, and just to ask her opinion and go, well, am I nuts?
Yeah, I'm back to thinking that I'm probably not ADHD, but who knows? We'll wait and see.
Okay, so it's like 20 minutes before my appointment, and I'm feeling pretty nervous. I haven't been able to sort out any of the thoughts in my head, so I don't really know what I'm going to say, or I don't have a plan. We'll see how it goes. Here's the next bit of the journey. I'm feeling excited because I could potentially have a different life where I don't hate myself all the time.
I just finished the appointment with the psychiatrist a little while ago, and I have ADHD and probably some other depressive disorder. He said, based on the the Richter scale thing that I returned, that I have significant ADHD. Like, it's not just a little bit. So that makes me feel at least justified in actually taking the test and following this path. Yeah, I think I feel pretty emotional. Long time, 40 years to go through your life feeling like there's something wrong with you, but feeling like it's your fault and that you're just not good enough, and that you should just try harder and do better. I think I turned out okay. And I do cope pretty well. The psychiatrist said I do have a lot of coping mechanisms that I've used in my life that have helped me a lot, and that do help me a lot. And, like, it's like a superpower being able to hyper focus on something. Like, this is not a bad thing. There's nothing wrong with me. It's just my brain functions differently than most people. And that's okay. But yeah, it would have been good to know. Would have been good to know. So I just wanted to kind of reflect on what the appointment was like and share that with people who might be starting their journey, or I know that right before my appointment I was feeling really, really nervous. So I just want to give people an idea of what to expect. This might be totally different where you are and with the psychiatrist that you end up with. My appointment was over the phone, and the first thing he did was explain he was going to ask me a bunch of questions and that he had received my information and my referral from my doctor, and he asked me what I expected to get out of the appointment. We started with childhood and, primary school, and how did you do in school? Did you struggle? Did you struggle to pay attention? Did you struggle to sit still? He asked about addiction, substance abuse, promiscuity. He asked me about procrastination. He asked me about, fidgeting. Do I shake my leg all the time, which I do, nail biting, playing with my hair, trouble sleeping, temperature, and like noise and touch sensation-y stuff, which I do have some of. Drugs. We talked about jobs and prolonged depressive periods and how that affected my life, and anxiety. So we talked about all those things. And then before we even got to the end of that, he basically said, okay, so from what you've told me, from your self-assessment quiz that I sent you, from your doctor's referral, and from, this interview, we're going to call this ADHD because that seems to be most consistent with what you're experiencing and the way that it's impacting your life. I think first and foremost, it is really important to try to find a psychiatrist that knows ADHD, that understands it, because I have heard a lot of scenarios where people have, tried to go down this path and have just been told that they're a perfectionist, that they can't possibly have ADHD because they do so well in school. That's really frustrating and hurtful to somebody who's really struggling, who feels like there's fundamentally something different about the way their brain works. And it plays out in lots of different ways that people don't see. That it's all what's happening up here and in here. Women in particular, we are really good at hiding how we really are, what's really going on for us. We learn how to pretend and how to perform. It doesn't present the same way as, somebody just bouncing off the walls all the time. The first thing that I did when I was thinking about getting assessed for ADHD is I reached out to some people I knew who had it and asked them what their experience was, what path they went down, who they went to, try to get some suggestions from them about how to do this. And I really wanted to ask them, hey, do you think that this is something that I should pursue? It's scary because a lot of people in your life might not think that this is a thing for you. But if you really feel like there could be something there, that there is a reason that, you constantly misplace things, that, you cannot keep your house clean, that you cannot stay in a job for a length of time, that you can't stay still, or that you can't pay attention, that you are a chronic procrastinator. Look, some of these traits are super normal, but if they're persistent and they're impacting your everyday life, I'm telling you, it's worth investigating. It's been a couple of days since my diagnosis. The really interesting thing that's started to happen is that the conversation inside my head is starting to change already, just with that diagnosis. So usually what happens, the pattern is I start trying to think about doing something or doing something, and it's really hard. And so I get frustrated with myself and I go into this downward spiral of what's wrong with me and why can't I do this? And just getting really frustrated and then really beating myself up. So instead of that, the conversation is more like, okay, this is actually hard for me. There is a reason that this is hard for me. And so I'm not beating myself up. And the other thing that's really interesting that I'm doing is I have to try really hard to keep information in my brain, remember what I'm doing when I'm trying to do something,
concentrate on not getting distracted. Trying to get up the motivation to do something can be challenging for me. And so instead of trying so hard, I'm putting less energy into trying to remember things. But what I'm finding is that I actually have more energy. Like, I'm not spending so much energy trying so hard at everything. I'm just going, okay, this is hard and it's fine and it's okay. So yeah, I feel great today. I feel just like so much better. And I'm feeling really optimistic about everything at the moment, and feeling just a lot better. Like, this is going to be really good and positive in my life. Just having this information, just having the information and knowing there's a reason that things are difficult for me sometimes. I'm super excited. I'm so excited to have a different life. So that was basically my ADHD diagnosis journey. I'm going to share with you the self-assessment quiz that I spoke about in my journey. This is specifically for adults. There's a link in the description below. That will not tell you if you have ADHD. Please remember that I'm not a medical professional. I'm just sharing my experience with you in the hopes that it will bring you comfort. Please don't think if you take that quiz, oh, I definitely have ADHD. What you can do with that quiz is fill it out and you can bring it to your doctor and you can say, hey, I found this. This is from someone else who got an ADHD diagnosis from a psychiatrist, and I'm concerned that maybe this is an issue for me. If you have any questions about my journey, I'd be really happy to answer them for you. Please feel free to leave them in the comments. I'd love to know what your experience was with your ADHD diagnosis, if you have been diagnosed with ADHD, because that'll help other people. They'll see the differences in between my journey and their journey, and the more that we can share, the more comfort it will bring to people. Every single person's journey is completely different. Thank you so much for watching this video. I will be also sharing another video about my experience starting ADHD medication. If you're interested in that, and if you liked this video, please hit the like button and subscribe to my channel if you want a better life. Thanks very much for watching. See you for now.